What is going on, everyone? I'm Ducky, and today I'm joined by Enigma, and we're going to be talking about our thoughts on the Black Ops 3 Zombies reveal of Shadows of Evil. This was at San Diego Comic-Con. So, first of all, Enigma, as soon as a critical zombie player or kind of zombie enthusiast saw this trailer, of course they're starting to think about the map and the theme of it, but as soon as they saw the yellow's eyes, that's when they start thinking about the story. What do you think the yellow eyes seen within the trailer mean?
I've been thinking about this recently, and I think what they're going to do with this map is spin it sort of like Mob of the Dead, where it's in its own universe. And with it being the first map on disc, instead of like a bonus map or a DLC map, I'm wondering if maybe they're going to go with this storyline as not continuing the old one. Like, in the sense of each map is going to have its own story, similar to Mob of the Dead. So I'm wondering if the yellow eyes don't mean anything, if they're literally just a color. Because at this point, they're kind of running out of colors that would look good for zombie eyes, because green would look weird, and purple would look weird. You know, we're running out of colors to use, basically. So, I mean, orange and yellow look kind of similar. Red looks nice, and kind of the warm colors look nicer for zombie eyes than cool colors, and they already did blue. And so I think and I could be totally wrong, but I'm feeling like it's just kind of, they just kind of rolled the dice and said, this kind of yellow looks nice. And it's not the same style of yellow that we'd seen before, whereas Samantha's yellow is bright and piercing. This one's kind of more toned back, closer to orange than yellow, but still yellow. So I'm thinking they just picked a color, and it really has nothing to do with Samantha or anybody.
Okay, so next in the trailer, we kind of, our immediate reactions for everyone looking at it was the theme and the setting of the map. Do you like this 1940s style Chicago and how it ties in with gameplay?
Yeah, I'm really totally, especially with zombies, I'm totally into the whole, like, you know, like the 20s with Mob of the Dead, and now, you know, the 30s, 40s kind of thing with this style map. I'm totally into that, like, old-style gangster kind of stuff. And no, we're not seeing it in the degree of, like, Mob of the Dead, but you still kind of get that theme of, you know, hey, we're the old guy, you know, that kind of whole style, pseudo, like, you know, Dick Tracy and that whole kind of stuff. And I think that's totally cool, and it totally fits like a zombies kind of thing, because if you roll to present day or the future, I mean, it's cool and all, but zombies are a big thing now. You know, it's this whole, oh, you know, we've had zombies since the 60s. And when you roll back to, like, Shangri-La, which is supposed to be way in the past / the future, I don't know, it's really weird timeline there, but we'll say past, you can get, like, into mystical voodoo kind of style stuff. But when you hit that early 1900s, it's totally around the time of super skeptics, people who, you know, weren't into, like, higher advanced technologies, but weren't into, like, the whole mystical stuff. So it totally fits the style of zombies. The juxtaposition between the zombies and those kind of people is just really awesome, and I think it's really cool. Because you saw in, like, Mob of the Dead, you know, they were totally confused on what was going on, like, hey, you know, was I just dead? You know, what's that zombie? I just killed that guy, and whoa, drawings just, you know, guns came out of chalk drawings and all that stuff. But they sort of just started rolling with it, and I thought that was really cool, and I'm thinking we're going to see something similar in this map.
Okay, so the characters as well, they fit in with the theme of this map. They're all from that time period, no sort of time travelling between them or anything like that. And they've all got one thing in common, and that is that they have committed some sort of sin or cheated or lied in some way from their profession. Because, of course, we've got the boxer, the cop, the dancer, and who else we got? The magician.
The magician.
So, yeah, what are your thoughts on them?
I think they're awesome. Just like every other celebrity map, I only recognize like 2 people. So, you know, I'm not quite sure who the other 2 celebrities are, but I know Ron Perlman and Jeff Goldblum. Or 3, I guess, because of Shadow Man. Ron Perlman totally fits a boxer-style guy, which would totally be in the 40s. You know, it was a gentleman's sport back then. Used to settle disputes between two people as well as being a sport, which is, why the referee wore like a suit and all that stuff. Um, so it totally fits the whole sin of him cheating. Um, Jeff Goldblum would do a great rich guy kind of style thing, like the magician. And magic was a huge thing back then with Houdini, and I think Copperfield was around then. I could be wrong, and stuff like that. So I think that's totally gonna fit, as well as the dancers, as sexuality was really starting to become a thing back then, and the cop, because again, the police force was a little not as strict as it is today, so it was a little loose cannon, and I think all these characters really fit really nicely within this storyline, and the celebrities backing them as well.
And of course you mentioned the narrator in that. Which do you think he's going to be? The Shadow Man will be the demonomic announcer that we are used to in Zombies?
Probably. In Mob of the Dead, we saw that, not really, but kind of. You got the style of Brutus being the announcer. I mean, it wasn't as intense as him talking, but it wasn't Samantha and it wasn't Richtofen. So I'm feeling like he might be the announcer. If it's not him, it might just be a generic voice, kind of like Knocked and stuff, where there really wasn't anyone. It was just the announcer.
Okay, and recently we've heard from somebody who claims to be a developer previously in Zombies, and he has said that the size of the map is going to be bigger than Green Run, however, without all the gaps in the middle, with all the fog and all the bus routes. It's literally all open to the players, a massive, huge map, bigger than we've ever seen before. Do you think you'd like that?
Yeah, the only thing I would be skeptical about is 2 open areas. Like just giant open courtyards would ruin gameplay, which I don't think they're going to do, especially from looking at the trailer. And a high number of doors. Especially in Black Ops maps, we saw bigger maps or more maze-like maps, like Ascension, for example, that had like 10 billion doors that you had to open, which kind of dumbed down the style of gameplay because you were focused on moving it to new areas and trying to open up more of the map more than you were kind of focused on doing stuff. So as long as there aren't, too many doors or open areas, or if there's alternate ways to open doors, kind of like Mob of the Dead, where you can open some doors with Afterlife as well as buy some doors, then I think it'll be perfect.
And you mentioned Afterlife in that, which, talking about opening doors and stuff and new kind of dimensions within Zombies, the lizard transformation or alien kind of tentacle creature that we saw the player transform into, what do you think that will actually entail?
It's probably going to be... Well, my first initial thought would be a gumball power-up. But since we didn't see him eat a gumball, my guess is that it's probably going to be something special that you have to do to build up to, similar to getting, like, Hell's Retriever in Mob of the Dead, or, getting a staff or something in Origins. There's steps to getting it. And I think it's going to be something simple. I think it looked way more intense in the trailer than it really is. My guess is you're probably still going to be able to be hit by zombies. I mean, in the trailer, he only runs toward a group of zombies. There's no one from the side. There's no one behind him. And there's only like 4 zombies. So I think it's going to be temporary. It's probably only going to be a one-time use or a very seldom use. Sort of like how when you threw Hell's Retriever, it would recharge. But expand that recharge maybe once a round or something. I can't say too much because I'm not really sure what it is. We'll have to wait and see if we get more information or until the game actually comes out.
So in the trailer we saw lots of new weapons and new features of this map shown off, but we saw these swords being used. Do you think these are going to be unique ones where they're buildable for each player, and then one player can carry one sword, and they're going to be kind of like the elemental staffs but in the form of swords? Or what do you think they're going to be? I
think you kind of hit it on the nail on the head with your video about the swords. I think that people really responded well to the 4 staves in Origins. How each one was powerful on its own, but in its own way. So even if you got like the fire staff, which was really powerful, it was more of a spread shotgun thing, so you couldn't attack someone from far away. Vice versa with the lightning staff, it was more of a ranged thing, not as close, and you could upgrade it and make it even more powerful. I don't know if they're gonna do like a true stab or whatever. You find, where you upgrade the stabs. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did multiple swords. Similar to how you throw one and it explodes. One's like the gravity spike.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that is a thing because the animation and code for that's already in the game from multiplayer. I'm not quite sure what the other powers could even be around that, just because each of those is so different that I couldn't even guess at what the others would be.
And do you think there will be any sort of other type of wonder weapons within the map, so we could see like the ray gun returning or a new version of the ray gun, or if there'll be kind of like another wonder weapon as well that isn't buildable like the staffs, which kind of adds this incentive to go to the box and it's still very powerful?
I don't think there's going to be a special map one. At least not in the true sense. There might be something along the lines of like Call of the Dead, where you had the Vril and then the Scavenger, where the Scavenger was a wonder weapon, but not to the degree the Vril was. It was more just like a really powerful weapon. I definitely think there'll be a ray gun or whatever they choose to be the kind of wonder weapon motif for the map. There might be something more powerful in the box, similar to the Death Machine from Mob of the Dead. I don't think there will be, like, it's another special weapon specific to that map, however.
Right, I've got you. And one thing I'm speechless about, so I'm just going to say the name of it and let you talk about it. And this is the new zombie shield we saw.
It's awesome. I do think there's probably going to be upgrades to it. I see two things here. I either see you having to upgrade its ability to shoot fire and charge, and every time you do that, you have to put more things on it. Like rebuild the propane or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But what I see being more relevant is, in the past, if you put the shield out in front of you, you wouldn't take any damage, but the shield would deteriorate very, very quickly. My guess is if you charge through a large enough group of zombies, you're going to come out with the shield just broken. And that the zombies are still going to be able to hit it, and I'm not sure if you'll kill zombies or just knock them over. Like, if it's just going to be used to, like, oh, I'm backed in a corner, let's just get out of this corner, and you, like, launch yourself through. But my guess is it's going to be, the zombies are going to be able to hit it and greatly damage the shield. So you're going to launch with a pristine shield and come out with one that's almost broken.
Okay, so we trust in them to kind of add the balance to all the new elements they're going to add in, because obviously they've had 3 years and they're going to play with everything they've got, and in those 3 years the multiplayer team and obviously the campaign team as well were able to come up with this advanced movement. And obviously we've had exo zombies recently, which exosuits aren't nearly anywhere kind of close to what we're going to see in Black Ops 3, but do you think they've thought very carefully about advanced movement, and do you think that there'll be kind of toned down advanced movement within this map?
I think they've definitely thought about advanced movement. With Exo Zombies, like you said, it was more, Exo Zombies was designed around the exosuit. It was designed to match an exosuit, have zombies in exosuits, and kind of take the idea of zombies and flip it 180 on its head. I'm going to jump out of the way of the zombie, but wait, the zombie's going to jump and hit me in midair as well. With this, I think they're going to be thinking more of a classic-style zombies. There might be a map down the road that utilizes advanced movement, or maybe there'll be a power-up or something that allows you advanced movement for a certain amount of time. But all in all, in multiplayer, you get that little jetpack thing that you can do tiny little jumps with. I don't see any evidence of that on the characters. I haven't seen evidence of them doing any sort of wall running or super jumping or anything like that in the trailer. They seem to be mostly grounded, with the exception of the one time she slams on the ground with that sword. So I see the only way we could possibly see advanced movement is within the abilities already given in. Sort of like I said, leaping with the sword, or something with a gumball machine, a power-up that we haven't seen yet.
Okay, so in the trailer we did see them knee sliding, which like just coming round the corner, and of course, like you said, we did not see any jetpacks or anything like that. Although the map does have a diesel punk feel, it's not the same as Origins where we have the Panzer Soldat with the jetpack and the futuristic giant robots. This is very much set here. However, it's kind of got that nice kind of nostalgic feel to it, going back to the past sort of thing and how the crazy times were. But we saw knee sliding in as well, and you mentioned how it could be like some sort of special ability from the gumball machine, and we saw a few of those abilities from the gumball machine within the trailer. But what do you think the gumball machine will actually behave like? As a lot of people are worried that it's going to replace perks. It's not going to replace perks, we know that. However, do you think that people are going to start spending their money more on this than perks?
Before I get into that, one quick note about what you said. With Origins, about the whole diesel punk. Yes, this map is totally diesel punk, totally awesome. And it's kind of got the feel of almost like BioShock, but dumb it down a whole bunch, you know, not to the degree. And that's totally sweet. And again, it sort of fits that 40s theme, whereas Origins, like you said, is got more of the jetpacks and robots. It was designed to be more like a World War I, World War II, where the Germans were experimenting, but what happens if they actually completed their experiments? So we're going to be seeing kind of a more of a Wolfenstein feel, again, toned down. So that theme kind of rolls in with the gumball machine. The gumball machine, at first I saw it, I thought it was going to replace perks, but I didn't think in the way of... I wasn't paying enough attention to notice the whole drops and the explosions, and they kind of showed off the powers. I thought it was going to be basically a Wonder Fizz machine, just different skinned. So each of the gumballs was going to be a different perk. I think the gumball machines are going to be one-time usage, because if you could make yourself invisible to zombies whenever you wanted, that'd kind of break the game. If you could cause an explosion whenever you wanted, that'd kind of break the game. I think it's going to be something where 1,000 points, let's say, assuming they're going to be using the old point system, which it looks like they might not be, but whatever. Let's say it's 1,000 points and you buy a gumball and you get the drop one. There's a button, probably one of the equipment buttons on the D-pad, and you go, I need a drop. Let's hope I get a max ammo, and you push it. You're done. You've lost that ability, but you get a drop now. Or you turn invisible to zombies for 5 seconds, but you've lost it. You have to go buy another one. And I think there's probably only going to be 5 or 6 abilities, if even that many. And they're going to be balanced probably. I could see one of the gumball machines, maybe you get wall run for 10 seconds, so you can, like, run up to a higher area or something like that. But for the most part, I don't see them replacing or even, whether physically or gameplay-wise, replacing perks in any way. Because turning invisible is nice, but not as nice as being able to survive longer indefinitely with, you know, Juggernog. And as for sliding, since you mentioned that, I have always hated the prone dive. I think it's stupid. I think it makes no sense. It's not useful in multiplayer. It was never useful in zombies, with the exception of PhD Flopper, which was designed for it. But it didn't make any sense to me. You know, you can't dive around a corner. If you dive to the ground in zombies, you're dead. You know, I think sliding is a lot more fluid because they're thinking about fluidity in this game. You know, it's a lot nicer just to be able to slide around a corner, or, you know, slide under something. Or I wouldn't be surprised if they added Flopper in a way like you slide and then you dive, or something weird like that. But I am happy that slide is in the game.
Okay, so the next thing I want to bring up is something that we saw very briefly, and it is one of those things where if you look away for a moment, you do miss it, and kind of people knew that it fitted in with the theme of the map. However, they weren't really sure what it was, and this is this table that we saw kind of with this magic book opening on it, kind of like the Minecraft enchantment table, if you will, where this man is raised up through it and then he has exploded. What do you think this could mean, and do you think it's part of the gameplay or Easter egg?
I think it's definitely part of the Easter egg. We've seen a whole bunch of... I wasn't sure what you were talking about for a minute, and then I remembered. I think it's definitely part of the Easter egg. They've always tried to slip in an Easter egg step with this whole stuff. You know, with Mob of the Dead, they hinted at the whole plane thing, which is the main Easter egg. and all that stuff. So they've always hinted to the Easter egg, and I don't see the table really making any sense unless it's some form of teleporter, which maybe, but I haven't seen, we haven't really seen any evidence of an output to the teleporter, if that is such a thing. It might be something where each character can do their own thing, because we did see what I thought to be the magician disappearing. It could not have been. Of course, like you said, it happened so fast, it was hard to tell what happened. So it might be something along the lines where each character can activate something on the map that's balanced in a way. To be honest, I don't know. My guess is it's a part of the Easter egg.
Okay, so the final thing I want to talk about is probably the most concerning part of the trailer for some, and this is the three-headed boss zombie, and of course its kind of gooey, flyy friends that come out as well. What do you think about that?
Treyarch may have screwed up the zombie storyline overall, at least to some people. But within a map, they've never really steered us wrong with things that made sense. The closest thing to not making sense would be the big guy in Buried. Why is he so big? But still, you never really question that. It's just, he is who he is. I don't think we know enough about what this thing is to really judge it. I'm sure it will make sense within the map. I mean, Mob of the Dead had freaking dog heads coming out of portals in the walls. We had no idea what that was in the trailer, but once we got the map, we realized it was hell-themed, which led people to believe it was Hellhounds or Cerberus or whatever. And it made sense. There was the hellhole under the cell block again in Mob of the Dead. It made sense. I really think we should wait and see. Noticing in the trailer, you had mentioned this earlier, before we started recording, there are no zombies around when it appears. This could just be a coincidence, or it could be a thing where no zombies spawn during the boss round. If that's the case, my guess is you shoot all three of its heads, because in one of the shots it looks like one of his heads was like exploded or something. And then it turns into those little fireflies. And the main boss is sort of kind of like, Brutus or something, where you can shoot him and he dies really easily. But once the little firefly guys come out, that's when you start, getting into trouble, They can swarm you, they can attack you. But again, we don't know enough about what this is to really pass judgment right now. Again, we'll have to wait and see if we get more details or until the map actually comes out.
Okay, thank you for joining me, and before we end this video, I want to get the final kind of thoughts from you, and this is, do you think it was kind of the right decision from the people at the very top of Treyarch and Activision to kind of have Blundell taking the lead on this and not Zelensky?
Yeah. If if Black Ops was any, or Black Ops 2 was any evidence, I mean, Transit was crap. Die Rise was beautiful, but the gameplay was kind of shoddy. Buried was fun for a while. Mob of the Dead and Origins were great. I mean, Mob of the Dead is my favorite zombies map of all time, and it's just so good. The atmosphere is great. The story is great. The actors are great. Everything's just so great about it. I think that this year, if they continue that same style, like that same trend of how they're going to be approaching these maps, that we're going to have one of, if not the best year of zombies yet.
Okay, thank you for joining me today, Nigma. We will return soon with our thoughts on the Giant.